correspondent Nora O'Donnell in Rome. Nora, I could hear the surprise in your voice when the new pope was named. I don't speak Latin. I was trying to hear a name, and you guys were so quick with the reaction of a pope being American-born. What is the significance of that?
Well, an electric moment here in Rome as we are just above St. Peter's Square. I mean, watching the tens of thousands of people from all over the world cheer at this moment. And when we learned that there was a new pope, we're actually on top of a convent. And so there are many nuns who are also on this rooftop with us. And they were shouting. Some were crying. They were even singing hallelujah at this moment. It is something you never forget if you are here from when a new pope is chosen. And you are right. The betting money was on the current Secretary of State here at the Vatican, Pietro Parolin, who was the longest serving advisor to Pope Francis, who was viewed as the conventional choice, an Italian. And then this shock at the moment, of course, there on the loggia appearing when we all learned that a man by the name of Robert Francis Prevost, born in Chicago, Illinois, would become Pope Leo XIV. And the first thing he said when he greeted the crowds here and on television around the world is peace be with you. You mentioned he spoke in Italian. He also spoke in Spanish. This is a man who speaks 5 different languages. He also reads Latin and German. He was a math major at Villanova University. But I think if you were to summarize him, and he has said how he views himself first and foremost as a missionary, because he spent so much time in Peru at a very small church there, a very poor, small church there. And so he also happens to have a dual nationality of Peru. So yes, he is the first pope from America, but he's from North and South America because of his dual citizenship. And so just an extraordinary moment, because I know, Lindsay, you've been studying this and talking to so many people as well. And the thought has always been that cardinals would not choose an American. Why? Because quite frankly, the future of the Catholic Church is not considered to be in America. It's considered in other parts of the world where Catholicism is growing, like in Africa and in Asia. And in fact, the number of Catholics in America is dwindling. Just 6% of the world's Catholics are in America. So the thought was, well, maybe they should elect someone who's representative of where the church is heading. But maybe this is a sign. And I think that's one of the interesting things that we will be discovering as we go forward. But I think bottom line, Cardinal Leo XIV viewed as a unifying voice, unifying the progressives and the conservatives, because he was chosen on the 4th ballot by these cardinals here.
But Nora, it still remains to be seen where he stands ideologically on some of the envelopes that Francis pushed.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, he is viewed as a moderate on those views. And, you know, while Pope Francis was viewed as a revolutionary pope who waded deep into these controversial issues when he first said on the issue of gay priests, who am I to judge? And then in my interview with him just 1 year ago, Pope Francis talked about the blessing of individuals in same-sex marriages. He met regularly with transgender Catholics. There are many controversial issues that he weighed into. He said it's okay to give communion to divorced couples. That's not something that the Catholic Church has not supported in the past. And so on many of these sort of hot button issues, if you will, in the Catholic Church, Pope Francis went there, not changing the lyrics of the Catholic Church, but changing the tune. And a lot of younger Catholics kind of liked that. They said, oh, he seems more inclusive. You're right. We don't know yet how Pope Leo XIV will govern. How will he talk? How will he try and grow the Catholic Church? But I think one of the interesting things is that he continues the pastoral approach of Pope Francis. What does that mean? That means being with the people. And because he was a missionary and spent so much time with the poor, and because he's an Augustinian, that suggests he'll continue that. But one really interesting thing, too, Lindsay, is, earlier this week, the Wall Street Journal had this extensive piece on the problems with the finances at the Vatican. Of course, this smallest sovereign state in the world, the Vatican, ruled by the Catholic Church. They are deep in debt and unable to pay some of the pensions for many of the workers that are here. And why is that? Because there are so many very priceless relics, if you will, within the Catholic Church, and big problems with audits and finances. And if you will, you can read the whole long story, and there's lots on this. But it just so happens that Cardinal Prevost, who is now Leo XIV, was a math major at Villanova University. Was he chosen because he's considered a good manager? And some people say yes. Could he bring something to the Vatican in terms of that? And then I think the other part of that, in addition to his math skills and language skills and everything, is that the wealthiest Catholics in the world, many of them are in America. And so could he provide some outreach to them that could help with the church finances? And that remains to be seen. And I think part of the storyline that the journalists that cover the Vatican and the Catholic Church so closely will be following in these months and years ahead. Just remember, he's 69 years old. Relatively speaking, that is a young pope, as Pope Francis was elected. I think he was 76 years old when he was elected. Lindsay?
Norah O'Donnell, thank you so much.
Hey, everyone.